Mishki here, joining the GL world to pitch my new podcast, which now comes out twice a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. The show features an extraordinary array of exotic circus performers, forgotten Hollywood starlets, reclusive Fortune 500 CEOs, professional taxidermists. Yep, wait a minute, that's a different promo. Where's the promo for GLers? Here it is. Let's try this again. Mishki here, pitching my new podcast. We're out of time? Could I do it again?
What do you call a guy that hates AI but uses it every day? Kenny. You call that guy Kenny. Hi, dummy.
Hi, idiot.
Amy Daniels, my best friend in the whole wide world. So, been thinking about this podcast, where it's going, and I've been thinking, why would anybody start a podcast? And that's what I Googled. Why would anybody start a podcast?
And, meaning performing a podcast.
Yeah,
not listening, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And AI gave me the usual nonsense.
No good reason?
Yeah, well, they gave me a ton of reasons. We can get into it later.
Okay.
Because I kind of want to talk about podcasting in general today, mostly other people podcasting, but maybe the future of this one. I know that's a lame topic that I've been beating up lately, but in my search, Amy, I looked for HBI, looking at podcasts.
Hubbard Broadcasting Incorporated. Correct.
And we used to have, and it's been a while. Yeah, correct. I expect you to do all the mechanics, stuff like that.
I'll translate.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. It's something we learned in the 80s. Always background to your listeners, which I completely ignore.
Right. I'll take care of it, people. Don't worry. You're in good hands.
At one point, HBI had a podcast on how to start a podcast.
What? We
did? It's been gone for years and years and years.
Okay.
But I think we were talking about it yesterday. There's like over 4 million podcasts.
Oh, God, yeah. And by the way, every time I see this data, you can assure yourself that a good 50% or more, sometimes 60%, are dead titles. Meaning somebody did a couple episodes and then they never did it again.
Yeah. Chris has got a good story about that. We'll ask him later. But first, look at all this. The emails. I've got a big sheaf of papers.
What are those?
These are emails that I haven't been ignoring them. I just forget I have them. Mm-hmm. And they're all written to us.
Okay.
The first one, remember we got to talking about Harry Carey a couple of weeks ago.
We did. I don't remember why.
We were talking about baseball, baseballs. Oh, at the Cubs Stadium at Wrigley, they throw the home runs back, and that led to Harry Carey. This is a good one. The first year of the Clinton administration, Hillary Clinton sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" with Harry. When they were done, Hillary thought they were going to go for a big hug. Then Hillary thought he was going to give her a peck on the cheek. Oh, no. Hillary got the full mouth and probably a drunk, sloppy tongue.
Oh, no.
She kept her composure, pushed him off, and waved to the crowd.
Pushed him off.
I could just hear her going, ew, gross.
Get off of me. Oh, my God, that is so funny.
This was way before the internet, and he was told that the Clintons told all media sources to trash that tape. Or
no
else,
more Frenching.
Yeah, I bet you that exists somewhere. Yeah. I would love to see that.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
Got a very nice note from Carrie Klatt. She used to work there. I don't know if you remember her.
I remember her name.
Yeah, both upstairs and downstairs. And a very nice note from Carrie Klatt about CRABBY Coffee Shop. It was so nice that I can't read it on the air. It makes me too uncomfortable.
Okay, that's not fair to me or the listeners. Read it.
No,
you don't get to bring that up and then not do it.
No, I'll send it to you. It's really, I can't.
Okay, Kenny,
no,
send it to me and I'll read it.
Maybe next week.
Okay, that's internally frustrating.
Yeah.
We're in a fight.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
A good email here from Sean regarding my sister-in-law, Charlene, being involved in saving that life on that plane. We had
Kenny's relative was intimately involved
Yeah.
With a harrowing event of a woman who had, was it a heart attack, Kenny?
Yeah, on a flight from Seattle to Minneapolis.
And had to jump into action. Still to this day, and remind me the details, Kenny, but we had like 3 different medical people happen to be on that flight, right?
Yeah, and Charlene started doing the CPR, and then the lady's son-in-law came up, and it turns out he's some sort of doctor or nurse, and he travels with a kit, some sort of survival kit that he's allowed to bring on because he's a doctor.
Right.
And then another nurse showed up, and the 3 of them kept this lady alive until they were able to land. They had to pull up short. It was somewhere not planned. It was in Montana, not Bozeman.
Yep. Billings? Maybe?
No,
I don't know.
think west of there.
Yeah. But anyway, they had to do an emergency landing.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away. It blows me away when these things happen. It seems like they happen a lot. When there's some sort of incident like that, and then these medical professionals come out of the woodwork. It's crazy. They literally saved this woman's life.
This email is so cool. Hi, Kenny. Love the Crabby episode with your sister-in-law. Hats off to her remarkable story coming from an obviously very humble person. Yes, that describes Charlene. She's so cool. I know the question came up regarding pilot activities during medical emergencies. At least here at my airline, we have a network called StatMD. If the flight attendants call us and report a medical emergency going on in the back, the captain basically hands over all the controls and radios to the other pilot and gets all the basic data first. Then he gets a phone patch started. And this, he says, is a VH radio frequency, not the one they use to talk to the tower.
Okay.
And then the flight attendants take over with a headset in the back and can have a conversation with an actual doctor who I believe with his airline is on call at a university near Pittsburgh.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love this, and I didn't know any of this, and it's really reassuring.
I have never heard that before in my life.
The
nor
doctor?
Would I have imagined, first of all, that the pilot hands control of the plane over and full-time dedicates himself to figuring out how to navigate this emergency.
Yeah.
And secondly, that there was a doctor on call, I assume 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's not the same doctor, but a doctor. And that they have that kind of like person-to-person communication to get that plane where it needs to go.
So the doctor that's on call, what in your mind's eye, what are you picturing that doctor doing while he's waiting for his next call? I'm seeing him in a closed office, maybe a window, door locked, feet up, reading like an Archie and Jughead comic. just totally living the life.
Yeah, I do also see him in a room with his feet up. That's where we diverge paths. I see him in an office with his feet up, wearing a white coat because he thinks it's funny. And then he's smoking a cigar.
Yeah, in the hospital.
And then once in a while he gets up and practices his putting.
You know what? I just realized this is a work from home job.
Oh, totally.
So he's walking around his house in his underpants.
Oh, you're right. No, not his underpants. That's gross. And why underpants? That's
no, he's Porky. You know what? He's Porky Pig in it. He just has on a T-shirt and nothing else.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get back on track. Boy, we get distracted.
I have never heard the phrase, he's porky picking.
Yeah, that's all of us.
Isn't that also Donald Duck? Doesn't he also have a little sailor top, but nothing else?
You know what's weird, though? When you get out of the shower, Donald would wrap a towel around his waist. Why is that?
Right, why?
And then he'd take it off to go outside.
Yeah.
Which makes zero sense.
Anyway,
I've got news for all ladies listening. That's what your husband and or boyfriend does when you leave the house for the weekend.
They walk around with nothing on?
Yeah, he just lays down towels and Porky Pigs at all week.
You know what? I mean, I have lots of male friends that I love and adore, you being, of course, one of them.
Ask them.
No, A, I'm not going to ask them. And B, why do you have to act like... It's cavemen.
It's our
animals.
It's the equivalent of you coming home at the end of the day,
taking our bra off,
but with your shirt on. You do it so it comes out your armhole.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
But we leave our shirt on. Did you notice that detail?
Well, not all of you do.
We don't. Okay. I know not one woman who comes
Okay.
home from work. And walks in the door and goes, wow, that was a crappy day. I'm taking my shirt off, then I'm taking my bra off, and I'm just going to walk around with my boobs. That's what I'm going to do.
K, the letter K, Olson at garagelogic.com.
Okay.
I know I will get emails backing me up.
Okay.
Anyway,
congrats, by the way. Congrats for being right on that. That's great.
Back to the doctor, Porky Pigging it. Okay, so then the doctor, you got the doctor on the phone. The doc then aids them and ultimately helps decide if we need to divert immediately.
Okay.
While all final decisions rest with the captain, if we see the person is stabilized, we continue to our destination. If the person is not responding to the care, we stand ready to turn the plane around. The pilots usually have the diversion airport picked out and loaded up as soon as we hear things are going south. Okay, good idea. Let's make a plan.
But I think that's all great, and far be it from me to question a plan. But it does seem like the decision shouldn't be between they're not responding to care, let's divert, or they seem to be stabilized, let's continue. It feels like if there's a medical event, we just divert.
I'm already trying to figure out how I would use this to land in Cedar Rapids instead of Minneapolis if I was the person having the issue.
Right. I mean, I think if there's any sort of issue, unless it's super minor, I mean, somebody has cut their finger, that's not a big deal. But
no.
Any heart event feels like that shouldn't be a big debate.
Right away. Right. Medical events are very common, and he's experienced them maybe every other month on average.
Wow.
He hasn't had to divert for a medical thing yet, but they did divert for a cracked I should have read ahead. I do not like this. We did divert for a cracked windscreen flying from MSP to
Denver?
Yeah, a year ago, and into Omaha. But that's another story. Love the show, blah, 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 blah. Nice stuff that I don't want to say out loud.
Oh, God, you are so frustrating.
But that was very helpful. So thank you, Doctor. I appreciate that.
That's really, really interesting.
Dr. Sean. Gary emails a lot. Gary's a good guy. And the subject line is, this might get a little dark, Amy.
Okay. Darker than Porky Pigging it?
Oh, no, this is dark.
Okay.
My CPR record is 0 and 1.
Oh, that is dark.
That's the subject line.
Okay.
It was 1985 or 1986. I was a security maintenance guy at a senior apartment building. We had to get certified every 6 months. 6 months. Old school training, not the new style. He was taken to the morgue. Oh. I went to the Mandarin Inn on the Strip, and drank many Long Island's iced teas and got a ride home. After the football player died on the field a couple years ago, our company got us all trained in CPR. You never know when you're going to do it.
Right.
I'm involved with, you've heard of Schoonover Body Works?
Yeah.
Mike Schoonover lost his son.
Yeah, Patrick, right?
Yeah, a few years ago, and he started an organization called Play for Patrick, and they go around schools during the school year testing kids 4 to 24, I believe, for heart deformities, and they teach at the same place they teach CPR, and they raise money, buy, and give out AEDs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing work. And my hats off and respect to Mike Schoonover. I can't imagine that kind of loss and that you would turn it into something that would be so practical and so real. The way he is amazing.
He handles it very well. When we talk about it, sometimes I have to really, it gets so intense for me.
Of course.
That I have to think about other things while I'm talking about it. Otherwise, I'll just completely lose it.
Yeah, I get it.
Because it's, losing a kid is tough.
Well, and Kenny, you and I were both as stupid gets, I'm sure, in our 20s and teens, 20s, 30s, that I was ever going to get to a point where I could be a mature adult who cared this deeply about another human being is a blessing in every single way, but it's also a burden, because that is, I remember talking to long story, but I won't tell the whole thing. Colleen Lindstrom, who you know very well, when Ollie, I believe her son Ollie was little baby, she and I worked together, and I remember saying to her, I said, I don't know how to explain this to you in any other way but to say that you've now given birth to this being who is essentially your heart on 2 feet that isn't going to go out into the world unprotected every single day, and you just have to live with that.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah. And mine is now, and so is Ollie. He's in college, right?
And he's like 6'8".
Yeah.
He's
and mine
adorable.
is 25, and I still worry every single day.
And mine is also just about to be 25.
Yeah. Okay, so we're done with that topic. Now, these 2 emails, the remaining emails, are about what we've been talking about recently. The first one from Derek, just listen to the pod. Tell Amy she is wrong. She fits in the show perfectly. It needs the contrast. Imagine it with only Kenny clones. LOL. Thanks for the laughs.
That's very sweet.
Now, this is this last one, and I'm not going to use his name. I like him a lot. He's a frequent emailer, but these are the kind of emails I look forward to.
Okay.
As you know, I've enjoyed your podcast, even if you don't. And while I'm sorry to see Amy go, I'll tell you this. In terms of a podcast, there was no there between you two, if you know what I mean. It's clear you two are simpatico, but there was some zip missing. Not a criticism, just a note. I've always liked Jay. That should be good. I look forward to that iteration. When you mentioned your Uncle Al and the Polak jokes, Amy asked if he was Polish, and you said, no, he's worse. He's from North Dakota. I really thought you were going to say, no, he's a Swede. Funny either way. And then he signs off, keep on quitting.
Oh, well, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah, thank you for your criticism. I appreciate that far
Kenny
more than I do.
Kenny loves it.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about podcasts, and we're going to, I think Ross is coming in.
He's here.
And we might just call Jay Coles. We'll see. We'll be right back. So I was asking around the building to find out who in the building is the big podcast expert. Imagine my surprise when I found out it's my former producer, all around good guy, Ross Brendel. So I invited Ross in. Hi, Ross.
Well, they probably misinformed you only slightly. I'm probably like 3 prongs down from the real guest that you should have had, but I think I can give you enough information.
I want, like I told Amy, I want a guest that I can rip and make fun of and not feel bad about it.
Perfect. I'm your guy.
So I want to tell you a story, Ross. About 6 months ago, a friend of mine from high school took a lot of steps and a lot of measures to find out my phone number because I'm very hard to get a hold of.
Intentionally.
Intentionally. We spoke, and the reason he was trying to get a hold of me is because he knew a friend that wanted to start a podcast, and they wanted to meet with me. Now, first of all, you know I'm not going to meet with anybody, right?
No,
you know
absolutely not.
That's not happening.
Second, he's a friend, and I like him and respect him, and I told him the truth. I said, don't do it. And he goes, well, he's got a lot of money. He can afford it, because I started talking about the cost of equipment and a studio and all of that. And he goes, well, he's got a lot of money. And he goes, he's got a lot of good ideas. And I said, here's what you do. Write those ideas down on a flyer, put them on telephone poles around town, and that'll be easier and you'll reach more people. Was I wrong?
You're not entirely wrong. I wouldn't say that you're 100% right, but I think you offered up an accurate portrayal of how difficult a podcast can be starting from scratch at the very beginning.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Ross. Don't you think that, I mean, I'm on this podcast against my will, but yes. I love Kenny.
So am I, by the way.
I know. But I spend more time behind the scenes and working with talent doing things like this.
Yes.
The hardest thing about podcasts and why 60% of them are dead titles, it is you and maybe a guest or a co-host in a room by yourselves over and over and over and over and over. It is not a gratifying, like, there's not audiences clapping for you. It's not a gratifying process.
So Kenny briefly told me what we were talking about, and I put down about 5 things that you need to do a podcast. I'm just going to say them, and then I can elaborate on the last one. Then you guys let me know if you need any more information. Here's what you need to start we'll call it just successful podcast, and you can define success however you want, whether 100 people are listening or 100,000 people. But here's what you need to at least have a podcast that is out there for people to find. You need a podcast hosting platform for when it comes to audio. You also need to now have a YouTube account. Your podcast, I know Kenny doesn't love this, but for better or worse, needs to be visual. So it should be audio and visual. You need a decent microphone and a camera on your computer. You need a niche, because right now everybody has a podcast. So find a niche. Find a niche that people are listening to. And Amy hit on what I have as basically I put down repetition. You can't just do a podcast and expect that people are going to find it. You need to commit to, I'm going to do this weekly, and it's going to drop at 2 o'clock every Tuesday, 4 o'clock every Wednesday, something like that. You need to commit to it and know that there's going to be growing pains, because what Amy just said is a lot of people will do 9 or 10 podcasts. They'll get discouraged because they don't have 50,000 listeners, and they'll quit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into this, and you have to be willing to go through that work on the front end. And also, I hate to say that this way, because I don't believe I'm the world's greatest personality, but have a personality.
Yeah.
Like
Have
that
one.
is no matter what your podcast is, you have to come across as fun and entertaining and informative, or nobody's going to listen.
I've always called it my job lighting my hair on fire, because the person that's talking into the microphone isn't the person you're going to meet on the street. I'm terribly shy. And when I'm on the air, I'm not.
Right.
And I can't explain why. How do people find out about this podcast? What's that? So you've got all of the above, but now how does the world find out about you?
Well, this is where somebody who has money, like your friend, it might be a little bit easier. They may benefit from getting some artwork together, some clips, some highlights, and promoting that they have a podcast. Not all successful podcasts have started that way. A lot of it is just, no joke intended here, guy in his basement starts a podcast, promotes it to his friends who tell their friends. They start to like it, and it spreads like wildfire. So there are multiple ways to do it. Where we have been successful here as a company is we have a couple of successful networks. So it makes it easier for your show and other shows to launch within a network, because it comes with a nice already built-in audience. Not everybody has that. So when you start from scratch, you have to be willing to do, for lack of a better term, and Amy, weigh in here, you got to do some guerrilla marketing and show off that what you're doing is not like what anybody else is doing. Anybody can listen to a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. Anybody can listen to a podcast about news in Minnesota. But why do they want to listen to yours? That's what you need to be showing to people. Marketing is almost as important as the actual podcast.
Well, and I think along those same lines, Ross, the thing is there are people, and I've been approached a zillion times by people saying, I want to do a podcast. Mm-hmm. And I say, what do you want to do a podcast about? And they say, I don't know. So what that says to me is you want the attention, you want the performance of a podcast, but you don't actually have anything you're passionate about. The ones I think that work best are when you're talking about something that you're passionate about, or you're talking with people that you're passionate about and you share an interest, or something like that, or something you're a really deep expert in. The last one is less likely most of the time. You got to care so much that if you only have 10 listeners, you don't mind.
Correct.
And Ross and I are still working towards a podcast that would be about Murder, She Wrote, the series. We want to do a watch along of Murder, She Wrote. And that is because we love it.
Angela Lansbury for life. I know Kenny has some thoughts on Angela Lansbury.
Especially the young Angela. But let's not get distracted here. I don't think you should have said that on the air. I think that's a good idea.
I know.
Is anybody else doing it?
There was one called Murder, She...
Wasn't it like Murder, She Pod or something?
Or something.
What's stopping you?
It didn't last very long.
What's stopping you?
Work.
Time?
Yeah,
time and work.
I think it's, and that goes back to. So I'm going to circle back to what management term. Sorry, when you start a podcast, a lot of people that do these, they have other jobs, and doing a podcast even once or twice a week, it's not easy. I've done it. I kept mine afloat for a while when I was working here, and I finally just made the decision because now I'm doing so much other stuff here within Hubbard that it's just not something I have the time and energy for that I used to. So you work, a lot of people will do this. I'm just going to make this up. You work in insurance 45, 50 hours a week. Yeah. Do you now really twice a week want to come home, record a podcast, and not just record it, you're researching oftentimes.
Booking guests.
You're doing post-production. You're working on opens. You're working on closes. So yes, anybody in theory can do a podcast, but not everybody should. If you're retired, to use your friend's example, I don't know if he's retired, but if he has time and money, by all means do it. If it's something you want to do because it's fun and satisfies an itch, and to Amy's point, you don't care if 10 people or 10,000 people listen, go ahead. But just know it's fun, but it's not. I'm not trying to even glorify or put us on a pedestal, but it's not as easy as everybody thinks.
It's not even about, and it's not even about easy or not easy, talent or no talent. Do you want to spend a lot more hours than you think, probably times 4 or 5 than you think, doing a job that you probably won't make any money for?
You're going to lose money, probably.
You're going to lose money. You're going to spend money you don't get back.
Correct.
Not a ton, but enough.
Enough, yep.
And you're going to have to sit and do the part of the thing that most people fantasize about is the part we're doing right now, talking into Mike, right? What they're not fantasizing about is writing descriptions that help with SEO, using keywords that help with discovery.
I was going to bring up that keywords.
Description.
Planning.
Hold on. Keywords, very, very, very important. Very important.
Yes.
And explain that quickly. Explain what a keyword is.
Yeah, a keyword, very simple, but I think people get this one without giving away. I spend a lot of time in sports media now with Score North. Minnesota Vikings. When you're putting together a description about the Minnesota Vikings, you need to go out of your way. Kenny, you'll appreciate this a little bit. You need to be about it, kind of like a NASCAR driver. When you're typing out your description, that should say Minnesota Vikings 5, 6, 7 times because you're gaming the algorithm. The algorithm goes, holy crap, this podcast is talking a lot about the Minnesota Vikings. And then it's going to send it to anybody in YouTube that likes the Minnesota Vikings. So it's things like that game the system. And then also pay attention to what other people are doing. If you see, I don't know, it's a true crime documentary and you see people are using some different term for murder, but they seem to have a lot of viewers and listenership, well, then you should be using that same term as well. That part is so important to it, and that's the stuff that people never think about. It's fun to sit and do what we're doing. What people don't see, and this is where I'll give Reavers credit, people don't see all the stuff that Chris Reavers does when the show ends. And it's exactly. And it's not all fun.
Because he doesn't do most of it.
Well, he doesn't do most of it.
The
he
stuff
doesn't.
He's supposed to do.
But it's not all fun. Everybody else leaves the show, and Chris stays for 2-3 hours getting stuff done. There's a lot of work here.
That's what I told my buddy. I said, look, I don't know anything about podcasting. I show up and I talk and I do it and I go home. That's where that's all I do. So I can't help you. Everything you just said, I couldn't have told him. And I just recently, in the last 6 months, learned about keywords and the importance of keywords.
And one more, Kenny, and I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from doing it because I think podcasting is insanely fun, and I think what we do is really fun. But with each passing day you don't start your podcast, there are that many more people that have started that podcast or another form of it. Mm-hmm. It's not like radio where within a market these are my quote-unquote competitors. There are 4 other stations that do what we're doing.
Yeah.
There are literally thousands of podcasts,
if not hundreds of thousands,
similar to Garage Logic, similar to News from the Krabby Coffee Shop, similar to Score North's Purple Daily. And you have to know, just because there's 100, I'm making this up, there's 100,000 people out there listening to said type of podcast, that doesn't mean you're going to get those 100,000 people. It takes work just to be able to, with things like keywords. One thing we didn't cover, Kenny, a thumbnail graphic to entice people to click on the video.
What the hell is that? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so
and I would say this.
I can spend more time on that, but I'll let Amy take it away.
I would say this. I think that there's a lot of people who come to me and to all of us or anyone who's in any sort of audio industry and say, I want to do a podcast. My friends think I'm really funny.
Yes. Yep.
Or my sister and I are hilarious or whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, be really honest with yourself. Are you that interesting? Try and be honest about that.
This sounds so mean, but these are conversations that you need to have.
You do. And then the
really
other
do.
thing is, Kenny, frankly, I'll be blunt. It's one of the reasons that I said that I think when Jake Holes comes on, it's going to be a better podcast. I am not passionate about the things that Kenny is passionate about. Kenny is not passionate about the things I'm passionate about.
But
by and large.
we're really good at reacting.
Right.
Even though we don't care, we can talk about it because we've been doing it for 40 years.
A long time, but I think the lack of care takes away that extra spark that if we were both talking, if you and I right now were talking about Murder, She Wrote and all the special guests that Angela and all the C-list actors and actresses that made guest appearances on
Bryan
Murder, She
Cranston.
Wrote. Right. We would have lots to talk about. We'd be so excited about it, right?
Yes.
And Kenny and I tried to find kind of a center lane, and it wasn't there. But I think you and Jay will have that naturally.
It's so funny. I hate doing podcasts. I've actually proposed, and I've been given maybe to do a podcast about dirt track racing.
You should.
But you're
based out of our station up here.
You're excited about that, though, too. But here's one thing that I would say, Kenny, when you do this, and this is what I would say for new podcasters. The one thing I didn't really talk about that probably should have been on my list, but we kind of talked about it in a roundabout way. You have your new Dirt Track podcast out there. Okay, come up with a name that's catchy, but also maybe hits those search terms.
Yeah.
But then also, you're not just going to post it to YouTube and put it on Apple and Spotify and people are going to find it right away. So that's where you need to do the things like you need to have fun graphics like we do for Garage Logic.
You need to have a social media
You need to have a social
profile.
media account.
This is where working for Hubbard is such a great benefit for me. They also want to put it on a few Hubbard radio stations.
Yep, there you go.
Now, mind you, none of this is just spitballing at this point. But that's where I have an advantage over my buddy who knows nothing about podcasting.
Right.
You know, all I do is show up. I spew out a few ideas to the guys that do sales, and they go, oh, my God, I can sell that. And it's a go.
Kenny, I had never even thought of that. I've never heard you say that, and I had never even thought of it. But when you said that, you want to do a podcast about dirt track racing, you are deeply passionate about that. And
you
that
got excited when you said that.
There's a saying, and it's niches get riches.
Yep.
That niche, I almost guarantee there is no super duper competent broadcaster, speaker, talker, communicator doing a really good dirt track racing podcast. I would bet money on it. And if you did that and you had the people here like Ross help you who know how to do that kind of setup, I actually think that would be really successful because you're passionate about it.
Yeah, and I'll be working twice as hard as I ever have. I'm going to tell you something. The first version of CRABBY, the one that you were involved with, Ross, I can tell the truth now. I was only doing that for money. Dan wanted a podcast. He told me what he was going to pay me, and I said, yeah, okay. And I had a hard time living with myself. I couldn't do it. I had to stop. And that's why I did. It's like, I can take the pay cut. I can't live like this. And then I came up with Amy, and it's like, oh my God, I love this. And I really, really enjoy it with Amy. And I've always wanted to work. You know what, Chris, why don't you get Knucklehead on the phone? Get Coles on the phone. And I've always wanted to do something with Coles. And the problem, Amy, that you and I have with staying in the lane, it's all due to me, by the way. Because I'm all over the place. But I think with Coles, we'll actually be able to stay in a lane because he wants to do what I want to do, and that's talk to interesting people about things that we haven't heard those interesting people talk about, or for that matter, even complete strangers.
Right. And you and I talked early on, because that's what you and Jay had planned back before I was ever involved.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. So it wasn't your fault. It was mine. I was like, I'm not that interested in weirdo from Spooner.
You know what I've learned with I think we had a great idea. It's so hard booking guests.
Yeah, it is.
We've talked to so many people in the media.
And it's been so much fun.
It has been, but we've been turned down or just put on hold or said, yeah, maybe in the future by, I'll bet you 20 people.
Really?
It's really hard.
I don't know if it's been that many.
No, it's really hard to book guests.
It is. It's sort of a never-ending content-eating machine in that way. But I would also say that we have talked to people, but to be really frank, what would you say in an elevator pitch? What would you say Crabby Coffee is, Ben, with you and I? I don't know. You and I enjoy sitting around having a conversation, and that's fine. I'm just not sure it's sellable.
It's Amy and I bullshitting in a coffee shop.
Right. You
know,
but we forget about the coffee shop theme. We never make any reference to it.
You know what? That happened in the first iteration, too, and maybe it'll happen in Kenny's third iteration.
You know what? We can go all the way back, and I bet a lot of young people don't even realize this. It used to be the water cooler conversation the day after Seinfeld. What's everybody talking about at the water cooler? Yeah. Seinfeld, or whatever they watched last night. And that's what I was hoping for with you.
And then we're sadly disappointed.
Well, I don't think they were. I think people. I'm going to say one more thing here and then get out of here. I don't think people were as disappointed as you think as you think they may have been, based even off that one email. I've told you before, I think listening to you guys is very enjoyable. But again, I'm in the building. I know you both. Kenny, I'll tell you this as I depart. It would appear you have some competition for Dirt Track.
Oh.
But
I know all the conversations. Yeah, I do.
But when you scan just quickly on Apple Podcasts, none of them have gotten so big that I don't think you couldn't pass them very quickly.
Yeah.
If that's the measurement of success.
Because he knows how to talk.
And you're entertaining.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying he's a professional entertainer.
We used to have a Dirt Track podcast, and Ross knows all about this. Is a little bit inside, and they were so negative and so horrible and so dreadful that I made Ross do whatever he could do to get these guys fired. And eventually they quit. On their own.
How long ago was that?
It was when Ross was doing Crabby a few years ago.
A handful of years. Yeah,
I never knew that.
And thankfully they quit on their own.
Well, speaking generalities, but apparently not just from Kenny, this crew may have been a little bit difficult.
Yeah. They were awful. Reavers, did you find Coles?
I was just going to say, I think Jay's now going to be neck and neck with Rookie for people that do not answer their phone, no matter how many times you attempt to call them.
I warned him. And you know what? I'm going to let Jay off the hook because he's having the first 2-3 weeks off in his life that he's ever had.
Got it.
He's finally at a place where he works. He's mostly 95% retired from Channel 5, and all he wants to do is chill out for a couple of weeks. We want to start the new, and I don't even think it should be a Crabby coffee shop, but we'll see what happens. And but we want to start in October.
Okay.
So that's our plan.
First week of October?
Let's not nail that down. I know what you want. You want it to start next week.
Amy wants
and I don't blame you, Amy. You're so busy.
You know what? It's just I wish that I had the time to devote to it, and that's not me. It is one of my pet peeves when people are like, when you're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, I'm just so busy. Just shut up. Everybody's busy. Whatever.
My goal is, Amy, to just ride on his coattails and just give him the show, and I'll show up occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't do a whole lot to support this particular venture, and I think Jay will be a much better partner for you. I think you guys are going to have a great time. I do. And Jay is a blast.
Yeah,
he's so much fun.
I'm worried that we're going to just be sit and giggle.
I think you, and he has so much energy. I'm worried. Yeah. I'm worried that we're going to find you plastered to the back wall of that building you're in with spit all over your face.
Two things, and then I am leaving. It's news from the Crabby Coffee Shop, but emphasis on the news since you actually have a real news man. I think you can stick with that. Also, our podcast, Amy, Murder We Spoke. It's actually,
is that what it was?
It's actually a brilliant name. Very, very well done by them.
But they only
Spoke.
did a handful of episodes and then they quit. They didn't. It didn't go super. It didn't go through all of it.
Yeah, I'd have to get more deep dive into that. But there you go.
And everything Ross talked about, you can find if you're new to all this, you can find in the podcast called Purple Daily. Phil and Judd's podcast about Vikings is phenomenally successful and kind of wrote the rule or guidebook for doing podcasts. It's just amazing, the success and the dream of Phil. You know, he saw into the future and he made all of this happen. And it's just really amazing. I'm so happy for those guys.
Same. And they're both super nice people. We had Judd on a couple of times. I love them both, and they have had very deserved success.
Yeah, and we're still trying to get Phil on. I think he's actually recording right now at the same time we are. One more thing, Ross. I know you have a meeting. Why YouTube? Why do people want to watch on YouTube?
I don't. This is so interesting. I can't really give a great answer to that, other than and I'll lump all four of us here on this pod into this same group. We went to Google to find things, or went to a search engine and just type something in.
Yeah.
Well, YouTube is now that search engine for basically people under 30, and that
makes sense.
And that's for everything. That's for podcasts. That's for how to tie a tie, how to fix this door. Instead of going to Google, everybody's going to YouTube. So, what's it? Fish where the fish are?
Right.
That's literally what you're doing for YouTube. And just to alleviate, I think, some of your anxiety here, Kenny, just because it's on YouTube doesn't actually mean that people are sitting down and watching you for all 45 minutes or an hour.
Oh.
Some people do, but a lot of people, it's no different than how you listen to something. They're just going to throw it on their TV and listen, and then they're going to scrub the floor. Yeah. They're going to do stuff with the kids. So you're on, and they're an active audience, but they're not just staring at your ugly mug the entire time. Some are, but not everybody is. But that's why YouTube is basically... I'm 39, and I would count myself in the group. But YouTube is basically, if you're 35, 30 and under, that's where you're going for everything. You're not necessarily going to Google first. You're going to the YouTube.
Well, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is and was at the time we found out at Podcast Movement a few years ago that YouTube has several years ago passed up Apple, Spotify, all of those. I think it's 60% of podcasts are consumed through YouTube.
And I can tell you for Purple Daily, we have more people listening on YouTube, watching and listening on YouTube than in audio. The numbers are still big for both. But it's went to YouTube. Oh, by the way, Amy, don't sell yourself short, because My Talk's done a great job on YouTube. I've seen the numbers for what you guys do for Blinded by the Item.
Yeah, it's done well.
And that's reaching people that have no idea what My Talk
so
is. That's
happy.
why you do it.
Oh, I'm so happy for Dawn.
Good for you, Amy.
Right?
Good for you.
They've really done a great job with that, and it's blind items like you see on page 6, and they have to figure out who the blind items are about, and the audience sort of plays along with them. But I would tell you, back to what Ross was saying, was that people, the way they use YouTube is really as an audio source, and exactly what you said, Ross. They get out of their car, where it's easy to like Bluetooth your phone, right?
Yep.
They come into their house, and I do this all the time.
Because every device is now connected.
Instead of me trying to figure out how to connect my phone to the speaker I have in the kitchen, I can just turn the TV on, go to YouTube, and turn on my podcast.
There it is.
Every device now gets you to YouTube.
And I don't watch it. I'm listening.
Ross Brendel, Amy Daniels, Chris Reavers, thank you very much. Thank you for watching and listening to the CRABBY Coffee Shop. I don't know if we'll be back next week. Maybe. Who knows?
It's up in the air. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Wait.